Hey everyone, it's theBryceisRight here with another Hogwarts Legacy video. There is a huge detail on the Hogwarts Legacy website that will affect the story and how the game is played that seems to have been overlooked or not talked about much. That may be because we don't know much about it. This is something called ancient magic that will be a large part of the game. I did touch on this a little bit in my recent Everything We Know About Hogwarts Legacy video. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do that in the description after you finish watching this one. But before we get started, if at any point you do enjoy this video, if you would consider leaving a like, I would really appreciate it. Alright, so what the official Hogwarts Legacy website says when it mentions ancient magic is, you have received a late acceptance letter to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and soon discover that you are no ordinary student. You possess an unusual ability to perceive and master ancient magic. Only you can decide if you will protect this secret for the good of all, or yield to the temptation of more sinister magic. You might think that ancient magic is an original subject Portkey Games will be exploring, but that is actually not the case. Ancient magic is actually name-dropped 2 times in the Harry Potter books. It is a core part of the series, but actually describing what it is not, so we don't have many details on what ancient magic truly is. Ancient magic includes the magical protection love can provide, Lily Potter's love in the case of Harry Potter, and magically resistant hides of dragons. Ancient magic is first mentioned in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire during Chapter 20, The First Task. You will see this on page 338 of the standard paperback edition. Sirius tells Harry, "Dragons are extremely difficult to slay, owing to the ancient magic that imbues their thick hides, which none but the most powerful spells can penetrate." One more time we hear it is in the following book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, when Dumbledore is explaining the protection of love to Harry yet again. This occurs in Chapter 37, The Lost Prophecy, on page 835. This is what Dumbledore says. "But I knew too where Voldemort was weak, and so I made my decision. You will be protected by an ancient magic of which he knows, which he despises, and which he has always, therefore, underestimated to his cost. I am speaking, of course, of the fact that your mother died to save you. She gave you a lingering protection he never expected, a protection that flows in your veins to this day. I put my trust, therefore, in your mother's blood. I delivered you to her sister, her only remaining relative." So now that we have heard this, we know ancient magic includes the magical protection of love and magical hides of dragons, which are 2 completely different things. While researching, I found a page on the Harry Potter lexicon which actually had a brief summary of ancient magic. This is based on the previous findings I mentioned. The lexicon tells us this: ancient magic is magic which happens independently of efforts by wizards, an effect which is triggered by events and powers endemic to the nature of reality. It is extremely old and mysterious, and a wand is not necessary for it to work. It is part of the magicalness of the universe. Examples include the bond of love, which happens when someone sacrifices themselves for another, and the inherent magic resistance in the skin of dragons and giants. Ancient magic is studied in the Department of Mysteries. I'd say we now have a decent understanding of what it is. I suppose ancient magic could also pertain to the healing tears of a phoenix, soul-sucking dementors, only being able to see thestrals when you've seen death, and many more possibilities. I actually have a few theories of how this will play out in the story of Hogwarts Legacy. Going back to the Hogwarts Legacy website, it says our character will have the ability to perceive and master ancient magic. If it is referring to the same ancient magic I am thinking, then it is possible we may be able to control magical creatures. Considering magical creatures were not produced by wizards, I think they would completely fall under ancient magic. It is possible that we will discover we can enter the mind of magical creatures and can control them. Honestly, this game is already ambitious enough. I don't know how they could pull this off. If the player takes a dark path, we could possibly use a Dementor to drain the happiness from Hogsmeade, or even take out an enemy. However, this may be unlikely as I don't see us able to control large creatures like dragons. My next theory is that we will be able to absorb and use creatures' ancient magic powers. For example, instead of controlling a Dementor, perhaps you yourself could perform a kiss or drain the happiness from an area. Maybe we could breathe fire like a dragon, put protections of love on anyone, and make ourselves invisible to those who have not seen death. The possibilities are endless here. My final theory I currently have is that we may be invulnerable to ancient magic. This theory could also be combined with some of the others. For example, a dragon's fire doesn't affect you. The magical hides of dragons can't protect themselves from our magic. We can overpower any protection of love. And perhaps we will be able to see Thestrals without needing to have seen death. This is a lot to think about, and I don't think it's possible to be on the money for this one. For all I know, none of my theories could even be close to being right. If it is referring to how ancient magic is mentioned in the books, then it has to be similar to one of these theories. I should mention that on the Hogwarts Legacy website, ancient magic is capitalized, but in the books it is lowercase, so maybe there is a difference there. If you have any theories on how ancient magic will play out in Hogwarts Legacy, leave a comment down below. If you want to stay up to date on all things Hogwarts Legacy and want to keep seeing videos like these, make sure to subscribe. I hope you all have a magical day, and I will see you in the next video.